Hi guys, this video will help you crack your next PM interview. No matter if you're a professional trying to switch or if you're a student trying to apply to a job in PM, this video has it all. So let's get started. Usually, a PM interview can have three types of questions: estimates, behavioral questions, and case studies. In this video, we'll focus on estimates. However, I'll put up a few more videos on how to handle case studies and behavioral questions as well. Before we move any further, please remember to subscribe to this channel to get more videos on how to build your career as a PM. So there'll be three parts to this video. In the first part, we'll talk about why are these questions important. In the second, we'll talk about how do we structure these questions. And in the final, we'll talk about a case study and see how we can actually implement the structure that we have learned in the second part. So without further ado, let's get started on those estimate questions. Starting with the first, why are these questions important? Or rather, what is the interviewer looking for when he asks these questions? In these type of questions, the examiner is trying to evaluate your logical thinking and your qualitative skills. And don't worry, they don't want exact answers. Ballpark numbers would do over here. What they're more interested is in how organized you are in your work, how well you explain your assumptions, and how logical you are. So coming up next, how do we structure our answer? The book Cracking the PM Interview offers a very good structure on how to solve these questions. That structure is: number one, ask clarifying questions. This will make sure that there is no scope for ambiguity in your calculations. Number two, make your equation. Also mention any data or sources of information that you may know. This would help you with your calculations. Number three, break down your equation into components. And remember, it's very important that you keep explaining to the interviewer your assumptions throughout the interview. He has to follow how logically you're thinking after all, right? Next, do the math. Compute the result of each component and combine the result. And finally, a sanity check. This is very critical that you finally check what number are you coming with. If it looks like it's too big or too small, go back to your maths. Maybe you've done some miscalculation or one of your assumptions is wrong. It'll always help to do the sanity check. So well, that sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo, doesn't it? I'll be honest, it does. Now let's come to the third and final section of this video, the case study, so that we can put all that we have learned so far into practice. So this is one of my favorite interview questions. Estimate the number of bulbs in Dubai. Starting with step one, ask clarifying questions. A great hack to make sure that you've covered all aspects while asking those clarifying questions is to try to look for keywords in the question. For example, in our question, the keywords are bulbs and Dubai. So let's make sure we cover all questions about it. The questions could be, you mean just bulbs or tube lights too? Should I only consider bulbs that are in use right now or the ones that are also lying in inventory? Do you mean Dubai or the entire UAE? Or do you want me to cover the entire city or just parts of it? And guys, it's also not just about asking these questions, but the answers that the interviewer will give you to these questions will put you to the right direction. For example, for the questions that we did ask, let's assume that the interviewer said that we need to look only at light bulbs, the ones that are in use, and those in Dubai city. So this takes us to step two, making an equation. Now if you want, you can take a pause over here and try to think yourself what that equation should be, and then we can match our answers. So for me, the equation would be number of buildings into number of floors per building and into number of bulbs per floor. Guys, I can't stress enough that at this point, you should definitely share the equation with the interviewer. It's very important that you keep him a part of your thinking process throughout the interview. After all, that's what he's evaluating, right? So now that we have our equation, let's come to the next step, breaking it down into components. Component one, building. A building could be of many types: school, office, mall, college, etc. It's very important that you clarify here which type of building are we referring to. Next, number of floors. Should we consider the terrace or the basement? If we do, then our number of bulbs per floor configuration might change a little. And finally, the bulb. Should we just consider those in the building or those in the street or the parking lot as well? The rule of thumb here is to think of different use cases where each of your components may occur. So let's say at this point, your interviewer tells you to narrow down your approach to only residential buildings, not consider basement and terraces, and only look at those bulbs which are inside the building complex. Now comes the creative part, the real estimation. I found that there are two ways to do it, the top-down approach and the bottom-up approach. So let's start with the top-down model. In this approach, you basically start from the population or the top level and keep on breaking it down until you reach to your answer. You could break down the population on the basis of socioeconomic, gender, and age-based sections. The next is the bottom-up approach. Instead of starting from the population or the top level, you start from the lowest unit metric first. It could be any small metric like average revenue per customer. So what approach we use depends a lot on what we are comfortable with and what is the question. In this question, since there is no base metric, we will start with the top-down approach. This is how we can progress. Dubai has a population of 3 million. Let's divide it by 4 to get the number of households. Out of these households, 10% are rich, 40% are middle class, and 50% are poor. Now let's try to estimate the number of bulbs for each. Ultra rich would live in bungalows. Let's assume 5 bedrooms per house and 6 bathrooms. Assuming 2 bulbs per bedroom and 2 per bathroom, that gives us a total of 22. Plus, including the kitchen and the dining space, let's assume 10 more bulbs. This gives a total of 32 bulbs per household. So now coming to the middle class households, assuming that they would live in a 2-bedroom apartment with 2.5 bathrooms and 2 bulbs each for the bathroom and the bedroom, plus 2 bulbs each for the kitchen and the dining area, it gives us a total of 13 bulbs per household. And finally, for the lower class, with 1 bedroom and a 1 bathroom set, and including 2 bulbs for each and 2 bulbs each for the dining area and the kitchen, it gives us a total of 8 bulbs. So now that you have the numbers for each of your components, just add them all together and voila, you have your answer. Just do a quick sanity check and that'll be it. So guys, this is it on estimates on top-down approach. I'll do a few more videos on how to answer interview questions and especially one more on how to answer estimates via bottom-up approach. If you've ever given an interview where you've been asked a similar estimate question, or if there's an estimate question that you're unable to answer yourself, feel free to add it on the comment section and we can go through it together. So that's it guys, thank you for watching this video so far. If you're interested in improving your career as a PM, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel and I'll see you soon.